often are you out on your bike?
I'm, I guess, a casual cyclist at this point in my life, but out at least once a week, and I'm encouraging other older adults in my community to join me.
And you facilitate biking workshops for seniors. So, what do the participants tell you about why they want to take part?
Well, when you have an 81-year-old who has not been on her bike for years but wants to cycle, and if she's given an tricycle to cycle on, she is elated and wants her family to know about it too.
And so, what do the workshops do? They kind of teach people how to get back on the bike, how to relearn that skill?
These were in the series of workshops that we did. These were older adults in basically many of them living in communities, condominiums that were specifically for seniors or older adults, as we call ourselves. And we brought them together to find out where they were as far as cycling, to see where their barriers were, but also to give them an opportunity to try out different kinds of bikes.
Oh.
And that was a game changer for many of them. And they asked if we could do more of these workshops.
Wait, what do you mean different kinds of bikes? I think you said a tricycle before. Was that right?
We had basically, and through actually Bike Share. Bike Share helped us out because we had electric bikes,
Oh,
we had incumbent bikes, we had electric tricycle, and we had regular bikes.
you got
And
it
one of the
all.
things that the older adults found with electric bikes, their balance was better because it takes off. And they didn't have that idea of pedaling to get going kind of
Yeah,
thing.
of course. Very smart. Okay, what do you think is holding more older adults back from cycling?
I think there are two things. One is definitely the infrastructure because as an older adult and actually as a cyclist, I need to feel safe. So the cycling infrastructure is part of it. But the other part is creating a culture of cycling and support system. We have to realize many people, especially older adults, don't own a bike.
Hmm.
They can't store a bike. People can't afford a bike. So providing opportunities to access bikes, but also creating that culture where they have support for biking and cycling, so that there's social groups. We've we know that getting out and about improves everybody's mental and physical health,
Hmm.
especially for older adults, if given the opportunity and support. And that's what we're hoping through Toronto Public Health, through their strategic plan, to be able to include older adults in this in their strategic plan, basically.
And you're in Scarborough. I would imagine that biking further out of the downtown core would be slightly easier, but what are the challenges there when it comes to cycling for older adults in your area, and the differences between cycling in the suburbs versus the core?
Our challenges, I think, are definitely the infrastructure.
Yeah.
We don't have safe, as many, very few actually, safe cycling lanes or pathways. But we also, what we do have is we have pathways through the parks. We have pathways through hydro runs, and we're building that. We're working on building it, but at the same time, it doesn't connect. So if I need to get to that pathway, if I'm lucky enough to have a car and I can put my bike on a bike rack, that's great. But many people don't have that opportunity. So I would say the connections. It's the connections that really need to be looked at in Scarborough. And remember, we're on busy streets where traffic travels much faster than it does downtown. And many of us don't feel safe, especially older adults don't feel safe on a busy street.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about that the infrastructure being different in the suburbs versus the city. I'm from Scarborough and Richmond Hill, born in Scarborough, grew up in Richmond Hill, and I really don't feel like you see many cyclists out at all on those streets because there isn't often those
Yeah.
dedicated bike lanes. So what are you asking?
However,
Yeah.
However, I will tell you that within Agincourt, we do have a culture of cycling for people that go to get their groceries, but many of us do cycle on the sidewalk
Ah.
because of because of the lack of infrastructure, we do have students who cycle to schools. If you look at the high school bike racks these days, they're full. And
Yeah.
even bikes are connected to garbage containers. So people are cycling, even though there are drawbacks.
They're finding ways to do it. So, what are you asking the city to do?
Basically, we did deputations yesterday at the Toronto Board of Health because we want the city to include cycling as a policy lever within their strategic plan 2024 to 2028. And we especially want to focus on older adults, those of us 65 and over. I mean, many times we focus on cycling with the younger groups, but we see the benefits for older adults to get out there, to get moving. The mobility issues can improve if you are out and about. So that's what we're looking for.
And how can local neighborhoods and communities also support older adults who are cycling?
I think by getting together, and one thing that we do in Agincourt with our association is we hold events. Um, One of our events is focused on family cycle. It's getting together in the park, but basically we do some family cycling, but also start to connect with small groups and get out there as a social aspect. Excuse me, to cycling.
And how did this all start for you? How did you first get into cycling, and what made you want to encourage others to do the same?
I guess I grew up in a rural environment in Quebec. We had one bicycle, and I have a brother and a sister. We shared. Basically went on to, when I was in university in Montreal, cycled throughout Montreal, which I will say has better bike lanes and bike paths than we have here in Toronto. Moved to Toronto, and my husband and I found that cycling helped us learn parts of the city that we wouldn't have known about. And then went on to continue to cycle with my daughters as they grew up, and now working with adults within our community, offering them opportunity once a week to go out on. We do have one section of protected bike lanes on Huntingwood Avenue, just between Victoria Park and Kennedy, but it's a start. And it's flat to get older adults out there and feel comfortable.
Rhoda, thanks so much for telling us all about this.
Thank you for having me.
Rhoda Potter is a facilitator for Cycle Toronto's Pathways to Mobility program. Speaking of